If you've been looking for a job and you're starting to feel super frustrated or maybe even a little bit scared of what the future may hold, you are not alone. I'm here to tell you there are many people that are feeling that way. And even though it hasn't officially been announced, the US economy is actually in a recession. And when you're in a recession and you're looking for a job, you have to use some different strategies in order to be successful. So if you don't know me, I'm Barika from Simply Unique Coaching. I've been leading since 1997 and I've led way more than 18 teams. And I like to say that I am the leader who learned in the trenches. And I got my first hiring manager position in 2005. And in today's video, I want to share with you what I've learned about searching for jobs during a recession and just combine all of the skill sets together that I have to help you. So I also have a bachelor's degree. I actually have two of them. One of them is in international business and the other is in economics. So I could see the writing on the wall actually a while back. If you go back to my TikTok over 2 years ago, I already saw what was happening in the economy, and this economy always goes through cycles. So while everyone else was quiet quitting and other things, I'm like, the pandemic was one thing, that was a different market. And in today's video, we're going to talk about understanding the recession job market and why it's different from a regular job market. And with this kind of market, we know that things that go up must come down. Now we're at the point where the market is trying to correct this up. Things have to balance themselves out. It's just one of those things. I know some people call it yin and yang, or they might call it something else. But at any rate, things like to find that balance and that even playing field. In that case, we definitely believe that the economy will bounce back at some point. So when you're in a recession type job market and you're preparing for your job search, there are some things you need to keep in mind. And there are different strategies that we're going to use for finding our next job. And we're going to talk about how to ace your interview because that's going to be super important because when you finally do get an interview, you want to make sure that you stand out as a candidate. And then I'm going to share with you some of the strategies and some tips as to what you should be doing with your time while you're looking for a job. Because if you have some downtime, you definitely want to use that strategically. Now, if you are out of a job right now, I want to encourage you to stay positive. It's going to be super important that you stay positive. If you currently have a job and you're looking for other positions, you want to be super cautious because in a time of recession, that is when companies start to look for how to downsize. And we can see from all the companies trying out the AI products and trying to downsize and then sometimes having to rehire staff. We just want to be super cautious and strategic about making changes because you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in a position where because you are the newest person joining a company, you're actually cut off when they do layoffs because you don't have as much tenure as some of the older employees there. But there is a method to the madness. They don't just lay off randomly. It's a lot of strategy behind who's laid off and when they are laid off. So you may say, hey, Barika, well, how do you really know it's a recession right now? Because, you look at economic reports, you look at the news, and a lot of different factors say that there may not be. But however, recession is primarily indicated by having two separate quarters of decrease in declining GDP, which we have actually had in 2022. But there are also some other factors that have to be taken into consideration when it comes to what it looks like to be in a recession or when a recession is taking place. So it's also having rising unemployment rates. It's also having rising bankruptcies and defaults and foreclosures. And if you've noticed and have been paying attention to the news, you'll see that there is a rise in some of the things that are happening. There are also falling interest rates that happen in a recession and lower consumer spending and confidence. So you may see people are more leaning to a budget, not eating out as much. Consumers and everyday people don't feel that great about spending money and about where the economy is actually headed. And so as a result, they're following prices of assets. People aren't buying as much that includes stocks and homes. And so there might be a fluctuation, but as we speak, actually, when I first recorded this, in April of 2025, and I'm just re-recording it now, but there was a dip in the market that had happened right around then. And so if you're paying attention to the markets, things are being volatile. I think they had to throw in the circuit breaker earlier this year because things had fallen so much. There are a lot of things that are happening as we speak right now. There's the reduction in consumer spending, the reduction in business investments, industrial production, et cetera. And a lot of things are affected, and all of those things are tied together. These are the indicators of the recession. So now, with that being said, if you're looking for a job right now, just keep in mind, so are a lot of other people. So I know someone, actually one of my clients, she put up a job posting for a couple of positions she had, and she had an overwhelming number of people apply. So I know that I have been on some social media and I see people getting a little bit upset because they're applying for jobs and they're not hearing back from the companies or from the recruiters. And so they get upset and they take it personally, but please don't take it personally. just know that some of these companies are being super overwhelmed with a lot of responses. And I remember when I was hiring, how we would kind of try to trim it down to who we're looking for, right? I do it when I'm personally recruiting. So, they might put up one position and maybe normally get 20 applicants. However, in this kind of time, instead of getting 20 applicants, they're getting 100 or 1,000. So just keep that in mind and don't take it personally if you don't hear back directly from that company. Just keep it moving and just know that what's for you is for you. So you want to stay positive because you want to find the job that's right for you, and your attitude is actually going to be a big determining factor as to how quickly that can happen. Now, let's talk about preparing for the job search. So definitely one thing I want to say is in this time, in this season, in this situation, you want to ensure that you have your resume and one that stands out. You don't want to have the run-of-the-mill resume. I was talking to a client yesterday and I was thinking about something she can do to actually make herself stand out because she is looking for opportunities as well. And I'm like, I have some ideas on how you can stand out and make yourself shine amongst the crowd. You don't want to have that resume that blends into the background with all the other 100 resumes. So maybe use a different style, maybe use different colors, maybe use something that pops out. You want it to look classy. I actually did hiring for one of my clients, and actually one of the people that my client ended up hiring that I pre-screened for them was somebody who had a resume that popped out. It had some different colors. It was not your run-of-the-mill resume, and it was very professional in how it looked. And because it looked professional and because the information was well organized, I was able to help that client with determining whether or not this is someone they should consider doing a second round interview with. And of course, you don't want it to look crazy. You want it to always be professional whenever you're working on that resume. However, you do need it to stand out. And also, when I was looking at resumes for that candidate, really only a few of them popped out to me visually because of the formatting and the layout, and the other ones kind of blended in the background. So you just want to make sure you don't have that standard boring resume. And I would highly suggest that if you are able to go to a resume service, use one of them at least to get a template for you so that if you have a specific job in mind, you can definitely have them tailor it to that. But you want to get definitely a generic one so you can plug and chug things in depending on what the requirements are for a job. Now, if you can afford to have them keep going in and changing it, that's fine as well. Depending on your experience, you may need to have a professional come in and help you with that so you can get a job even quicker. So in the description for this video, I'm going to link a resume service that I know does a great job. They're super professional. And if you're looking for that kind of service, you can reach out to them and see if they can support you and help you with getting a great resume out there. But you want to make sure that you have a cover letter if they ask for it. You want to go ahead and do that cover letter. And a cover letter can still be helpful because it gives them a high-level summary of who you are and why you are applying for the job, why you think this position is a good fit for you. And then from there, the recruiter can go through and look through the actual information on your resume. And I can tell you from the ones that I've gone through recently, a lot of people are not including cover letters. So when somebody does include a cover letter, it actually makes them stand out. And so what you're looking to do is ways to stand out from the crowd. And I have had somebody who has done theirs in a non-traditional format. And I'm like, okay, that looks nice and that looks polished and that looks professional. Like they put extra time in it, and that matters. And so you want to ensure that in your resume that you only include relevant information and information that applies to the job that you are looking to apply for. Don't put something in there unless you think it's going to give you a leg up from the competition, so to speak. So for example, I was reviewing a couple of resumes for a client a few months back, and a young lady had a very extensive work history, but she also has her high school graduation date on her resume, and she has been working for about 20 years or so. So at this point, her high school information doesn't really need to be on there, especially if she's gone to college. She doesn't need to have when she graduated from high school. That's irrelevant. So make sure you don't have extra fluff in your resume. If it's a long resume, make sure that everything on there applies to that particular job. And if not, take it off, because otherwise you're giving the recruiter too much to go through and they might just skip over you and go to the next one, because if they're getting 1,000 people applying, they want to narrow it down as much as possible. So if they don't see what they're looking for quite quickly, then they'll move on to the next one. Also, you can look at online formats, like if you want to create a profile on LinkedIn or on some other professional website that is relevant to your field and your industry so that you have an online presence there, that is definitely something that will also help you stand out. And this is important, especially in this day and age. A lot of things are being done electronically and digitally. And so you want to have that out there because that is a kind of way of advertising and saying, hey, I'm a real person. and I'm a person with work experience. So remember that I said that where there normally will be just a couple of resumes and applicants coming in for a position, now they're getting hundreds and thousands. So meeting people face to face and being able to engage with them is going to make you stand out. And so they're also going to be able to tell you when something becomes available and maybe say, oh, you're a good fit. So you want to talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to old colleagues, talk to new colleagues, talk to anybody that you know and let them know that you are looking for a job. Let them know the industry that you're looking for or even the experience that you have. And if there's a particular industry you're looking for, go ahead and share that with those individuals as well. If there is a certain type of job that you have a certain skill set in, then you want to go ahead and communicate that as well. Just make sure that you're talking to people, because your best bet of actually finding a job is going to be talking to people. And I can say that in times when I've gotten the majority of my jobs, it was actually not just applying for them, but it was me talking to someone. Whether it was like letting a family member know, hey, I'm looking for a job, or I'm thinking about exploring opportunities out there. And then they're like, oh, I know this person, or I know that this company's hiring. Or, I talked to a friend and they're like, oh, my company's actually hiring. And so my first several couple of jobs, I actually got them by talking to people and just by sharing what I was doing and what my goals were. And even in the workplace, you get to know people and you build relationships. And then from there, when something becomes available, they'll say, oh, this job became available. Or, hey, you might be interested in applying for this. Building strong relationships with individuals with the right heart, with the right motives really can help you. When people like you, they will look out for you. So let's talk about some outside of the box networking, okay? So maybe you can go explore the Chamber of Commerce, find out what events they have going on. Go to your local library, find out what events they have going on. Find out what professional industry events or organizations are where you live. And if there's something you want to be able to work in, start to network there. Go to the colleges, find out what they have going on. Do they have talks going on? Do they have clubs going on that you can appropriately be a part of? And I'm not talking about nepotism, because I'm not about that, but I'm saying, like, you have to talk to people, you have to build relationships, and then they will keep you in mind when they hear about something, or when something's coming up, they can say, oh, hey, apply for this. Or, I heard that this opening is happening at my cousin's company. Maybe you can apply for it and see if it's going to be a good fit. Also, if you're thinking long term, you want to keep in mind recession-proof industries as well as AI-proof industries, because things are different in the world than they have been in the past. So we're seeing some things we've never seen before. We're in a totally different work industry. And in that case, we know that there's some industries that will always need people. So think about the pandemic. Who's always required to come to work? Who always had a paycheck? Teachers, people in healthcare, public service individuals, people who work for utility companies. So keep that in mind. Not saying that you have to do that per se, but in an economy that is in a recession, you don't want to go from not having a job or maybe being underemployed to getting another job, then finding yourself not having a job or underemployed again because you got into another industry that's going to be going away soon. Also, just so you know that we are in a different era, as I said earlier, things are going to be done by AI in the future. You want to start future-proofing yourself as an employee to be ready and prepared for what's going to come, and start learning how to use AI and how to get AI to work for you, okay? Because AI can be used to help you out as an employee and to help you with the mundane tasks so that you can work on other things and grow in other areas. So next, we're going to talk about how to ace your interview. But I want to hear from you. What else do you think should be included in this list? What other strategies do you think may help somebody who is currently looking for work? Keep in mind, I recorded this well before they had the layoffs and the furloughs and all of that. Put it in the comment and let us know, so maybe you can help somebody who's searching for a job. All right, so now let's talk about how to ace your interview. So remember, I said earlier that I have been a hiring manager since 2005. And it was really eye-opening being on that side of the table, because the way that I look at things and I approach things from that point of view are different once you're on the hiring side. So anytime I apply for a job thereafter, or anytime I went for an interview, I kept in mind, what is the person looking for? What is it that they have in mind? What are they considering? So one of the things I'm going to say is this, and this is something I recommended to one of my clients as well, is to make sure that you take the time to think through all of the awesome and amazing things that you have done throughout your career, okay? Throughout your life, okay? And start getting a running list of those things. And I used to call it like a running resume, where I would include all of the jobs that I've had, because when you're trying to draft a resume for a particular job, you may forget all of the things that you've done. So it's good to have that kind of bank of all of the skill sets and the tasks that you've done. Because also, the further you are away from that job, the more you can forget what you actually did and what skill sets you used while you were there. I would call this kind of like an overall resume, a running resume. But when you see a job, you can look at it and say, oh, I can pull experience from here. Oh, I can pull experience from that, and put that on your resume. So you can also talk about, your strengths and your weaknesses that you had in those jobs. Also, when you're preparing for the interview, think about the most challenging situations that you've had to face, because those are also going to be some of your best examples, especially when you overcame them, because you can speak to them. Because a lot of times when people are conducting behavior interviews, they want to know that you are actually able to overcome situations and that you're able to thrive. So you want to have a lot of examples ready. You don't want to be sitting up there in the interview trying to think like, no, actually have a list ready to go. So I have so many tips about interviewing. And with that being said, I'm going to put a little plug here. So I started a new service called Ace Your Interview. And basically what you do is you would book an appointment with me, and I would do a mock interview with you. I would do a practice interview with you. And then I can give you some feedback on what you can do to improve what you've done well. So if you have a job interview coming up and you want some feedback for someone who actually does hiring, I'm currently getting ready to interview somebody in the next 2 to 3 days for a position. And I've been doing it since 2005. Okay. And you want to get that feedback, and you want to have real time feedback in a safe place where I'm going to be real with you, but I'm also going to encourage you in your strengths and then share with you what you can do better. Keep in mind, it will be like a real interview. I will treat you like I am interviewing you and hiring you for a position. And so I will ask the questions that somebody who is hiring for that position would ask. If you have a particular position in mind, or if you just say, hey, I just want to sharpen my skill set, then I would also do that as well, and just give you the perspective of a hiring manager and tell you what you can do differently. Because one of the things I also saw was a lot of people saying, hey, I've been interviewing for jobs and I'm not getting any job leads. I'm not getting hired. So there's probably something that they're doing that they don't know that they're doing. And companies are busy, and right now they don't have time to go back around and say, hey, this is what you did wrong. And actually, what kind of sparked me to create the service was I was interviewing somebody for one of my clients. And that person, at the end of the interview, they said, if I'm not going to be hired for this job, would you tell me why? And so from that point, I said, we're going to stop the job interview here. And because you asked, I'm going to give you some feedback. And basically, I did let them know they were not going to make it to the second round, but I also let them know why they weren't going to make it to the second round. And part of it had to do with some of the stuff that I outlined here in this video. So if you find that you're not getting the jobs that you're applying for, and you're applying and you're applying, you're getting interviews, but you're not actually getting the positions, maybe go ahead and book one of those consultations. And I will put the link in the description, and you can book that Ace Your Interview session with me. And then we can talk about, how you can grow from there. And I will give you feedback that will hopefully help you get your next job and position. With that being said, when you go on an interview, you always want to be as prepared as possible, whether it's with me or whether it's with someone else. Just make sure that you practice. So now, again, since I have been a hiring manager, I can create a job description. I create interview questions when I'm working with clients or when I'm hiring myself. And there's a certain methodology to people who are experienced in hiring and what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing. So you just want to make sure that you are prepared for the interview by making sure that you can answer questions. And like I said, have examples that feed into what they may ask, because there's certain competencies and things they're going to be looking for in the interview. You don't want to be blindsided. And even if you are blindsided, there's a way that you can answer the question and say, can I take a moment to think about that? And then, take a moment and really think, because you want to give a great answer. Don't take too long, because you want to be as prepared as possible. But that's a way to buy yourself some time, okay? And they will appreciate that by taking a moment to collect your thoughts. But if you have a list of things, like we talked about before, and examples of things that you've already done, you can pull from that bank and say, oh, you know what? This example applies to this situation. I'll always be honest in interviews as much as possible, because I want you to grow. And that's the heart of the teacher in me. I want you to grow. I want you to be professional. I don't want you to make stuff up. I don't want you to do things that don't apply to the job, because it'll eventually come out if you say, you have a skill set that you don't know, and then you could have other problems. So one thing I want to mention is, as you are looking for a job, what should you be doing with your time? You should be looking for a job. You should be making sure that your resume is professional, that it applies to the position that you're looking for, that you're networking. Network, and then network some more, okay? networking is probably going to be actually how you end up with your next job. Because a lot of people are going to be out there, they're going to be pulling their hair out because they're like, I'm applying online. I've applied for 50 jobs. I've seen some people say they've been applying for jobs for 2, 3 years, more than that, and they still aren't getting jobs. So something may be going on there. Make sure that you're polishing up your skill set as well. Something else you want to do when you're looking for a job is you need to maybe pull on some old skill sets, maybe some college skills that you have that you may not have tapped in. And I actually have a video that I'll link here that I talk about this a little bit more in. But I remember when I was 18 and there was a skill set that I had acquired, and fast forward several years later, I ended up being in a company that was 100% commission, and things started to get tight. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull it on that particular skill set to help me make money. And that's what I did in order to help make ends meet to some respect, to help pay some bills and to cover costs. Also, you want to use time to become professionally developed. So maybe acquiring new skill sets. And again, like I said before, make sure you learn how to use AI. Make sure that you are using it to help you grow as a person, as far as learning how to write prompts maybe, or learning how to use it for deep research, and want to start maybe working even in a different industry, to future proof yourself. So maybe there's some certificates that you need to acquire or some classes that you need to take. So what industries are going to be available in the future, and how can you prepare for it? But maybe you can think about some industries that are available like healthcare or education. So maybe you don't want to be a teacher, but maybe you can look at how to write textbooks or curriculum or to do testing, but find out what works best for your personality. And again, you want to make sure it's going to be a good fit. You don't want to be super picky, but you also want to make sure that, if an opportunity becomes available and it's going to be a way for you to make ends meet, that you may consider that, because it can be years in between jobs. Sometimes if you pass on a job and you don't want to have regrets, you don't want to find yourself in a position where you have to take a ton of odd jobs to make ends meet for an extended period of time, unless that leads you to a profitable business, because that can happen. Now, if you need help feeling motivated and inspired, I want you to watch this video next. And with that being said, make it a great day.